On March 8, 2014, flight MH370 to Beijing from Kuala Lumpur International Airport was a routine flight with no foreseen problems. The plane lost contact with air traffic control 1 hour after takeoff, with the pilot's last recorded words being, "Good night, Malaysian 370." The plane did not check in with traffic control in Ho Chi Minh City when it crossed into Vietnamese airspace. Although there have been many investigations, the searches have had little success, with only a few parts of the plane turning up. There have been recent revivals as Southampton-based marine robotics firm Ocean Infinity is resuming its mission in a new area in the southern Indian Ocean. The first piece of evidence that points to the pilot being guilty of the crash is that the flight path of flight MH370 is very irregular, one that could not be done by chance or accident, but only by manual control of the plane. Jean-Luc Marchand explains how there is a 6-year gap in Smith's medical records that was removed, arising suspicion about what medical condition he was trying to hide that could possibly be detrimental to his flying ability. The MH370 flight is reported to have dropped to a lower elevation, and an attempted phone call was made. But shortly after the plane went back up into elevation that made cellular outreach out of range, done purposefully by the pilot to avoid any cries for help. This elevation change is only something that could be done by a trained pilot that is manually controlling the plane. Even Azharuddin Abdul Rahman, Director General of Malaysia's Department of Civil Aviation, stated how the flight was a tragic accident, implying that it was not anything planned. But the extremely odd circumstances of the flight, and with all the suspicion surrounding the pilot, the evidence strongly favors a planned-out sabotage by the pilot, not anything by chance. However, Newsweek reports how no issues with the plane were found during routine inspection before the flight. Also, a mechanical failure would not explain the inconsistent flight elevation that surely had to be performed manually and purposefully. The tragic events of flight MH370 serve as a reminder as to how dangerous the aviation industry truly is. Background checks need to be done on pilots to ensure that pilots with no mental instabilities are being hired so that people's lives aren't at risk.